also explains.
Okay. I guess we could just start then. First one, which types of group think do you believe the PHS researchers and CDC officials showed? Support your choices with evidence from the mini case study. I do not know how to answer these questions, honestly.
Yeah, that first one, which type of group things do you believe the PHS? So I didn't understand what it meant by which kind of group think exactly.
Yeah, I
Um,
wasn't.
it's something from the video she showed this week, but I still haven't looked at the video. But I didn't know what it was meant by that. But I mean, overall, I thought it was pretty messed up that the PHS researchers like were conducting studies with these like individuals. Like I know the the Tusk,
Tuskegee
yeah, the
or
Tusk,
whatever.
yeah, that one. I know like they conducted on African American males who had syphilis, I think, and they like when they found out that they had an actual like treatment for it, which was penicillin, they still didn't like administer the penicillin to the patient, or at least to the study group that they were using. And I think that's pretty messed up because they were mostly males. And then this went on to affect their second generation of these males, especially because they didn't even tell some of the males, according to what I read, they didn't tell the males, like, hey, you have syphilis or you have this. That way, like, they could refrain from, like, having sex or something, like, because I heard it went on to like going on to their kids, like second generation, and then I don't know, they passed it on to their partners. That's kind of messed up too. I know there's like laws against that now, like to like if you have like like I know for a fact of like if it's like AIDS, you have to like or HIV, you have to let your partner know that you have HIV. Um, but yeah, besides that, I didn't really know what it
So
meant by
for
which
the
type of.
group thing, there's like three types of group think that exist. There's like type one, type two, and type three. And I think the um
Yeah,
you're like trying to decide which type they did
Oh,
in the PHS.
in page 134. I they were
I,
I would say,
I kind of put all three of them,
yeah.
I think, but yeah, I would
and I wrote down the exam.
I would
I
definitely
wrote down like for
I would
type one.
yeah, type one and type two. I do see where they're really close minded.
I'm not sure
And
that it was a pressure of uniformity though, because I feel like
yeah,
either way they were gonna do it.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like there was no pressure behind it or anything. Like they went in with the idea of like this is what we're doing, no matter what.
Yeah, I guess I thought of pressure of uniformity differently,
Hmm.
but I can see that it's more type one and type two. Like type one, I mean, they definitely showed their power. They were
Mhm.
threatening providers
Yeah.
whenever they questioned if the study was ethical. And then type two, they kept the study going for years. Or hold on. The researchers only wanted results and they didn't care how they got them or who was harmed.
Mhm.
I mean, they just
What
wanted
was
what
your viewpoint on why you chose type three also?
type three, I took it as like trying to keep the
All right.
study going. In the study, there was a quote, it said, they kept the study going for years because it afforded a unique opportunity that would never exist again. So
Uh,
I felt like they were wanting to try to have this huge study that like created these phenomena of results or something. I don't,
Mhm.
that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, I can see both. I can see both viewpoints on it, I think.
Yeah, definitely more type one and type two.
Yeah.
question two. How do historical and cultural elements of the PHS its researchers, and the CDC relate to the groupthink type you chose?
I think that they were, so it says that they were built on a military model.
Yeah.
And so I feel like a lot of military people already feel like they have power.
Yeah.
So I feel like I wouldn't say so much it's their culture more than like the historical part of it. But I think that them being in the military just kind of relates to the overestimation of the group's power and morality, just because they're built on the military model.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't really know how to answer that question, but I can definitely see that for the
Oh yeah,
power and morality.
for the power and the morality, yeah, I can see because
I'm
of
not sure how their culture would play a role into that though.
Yeah, same. I'm not really sure either. All I know is they've like most of their studies were done on different cultures. Like, I know they did it on the African American culture, and they went to
Well, I mean, are you talking about like military culture?
I don't know if that's what the question is referring to. It could be referring to the military culture. Or I don't know if it's like their culture that they grew up around or the culture that they're currently residing in.
I think you can take it either way.
I know it mentioned in page 134, not for culture, but to related to type 2 and the military model. It said the commission officers were the medical elite, given that passing the PHS exams to become an officer was more difficult than passing state medical board exams. Once commissioned officers were moved from station to station and were taught by experienced officers, there was a part that mentioned how once you were an officer, like you had more power than even those who just passed regular board medical exams, and like they would like use that power. So I guess like that's how I could relate to type 2, because even though the exams were fairly similar, just because you passed this PHS exam into like a military model type you know group, I think it made them more closed-minded when they had higher ranking officers, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. And I know that Sapphire mentioned a quote earlier about like wanting to see the experiment through because it was something that they wouldn't see again. So I feel like that also relates to like the closed-mindedness of those people, just because they don't want to kind of hear anybody else's opinion about the experiment or how it's going to affect other people. They're just more worried about getting the results no matter what happened. So I think that's very closed-minded of everyone that was involved.
Yeah.
Also.
I think the morality was in the wrong place too, because on page 135, like the last paragraph, it says efforts to retain the men as experiment subjects and to prevent treatment of their syphilis was extraordinary. So like just with that sentence, like I said, for example, the PHS researchers tracked the men to other public health departments, intervened with local physicians, and blocked them from being drafted into military service during World War II. And like, I don't know, I just think like they were going out of their way to do this research, and their moral compass wasn't in the right, just in the right direction.
Yeah. I'm reading the second to last paragraph on page 135. And it also says like the study was modified into a death as endpoint study. And since they like didn't tell the men that they had syphilis and they instead told him that they had like bad blood,
Yeah.
that also I think kind of goes it kind of relates back to both types, not just like one or the other. It's kind of both of them. Like they're very closed-minded, and so they'll go to anything, any lengths to continue the study. But also, it just shows like how much power they think that they have over all of these men, like being
Yeah.
able to tell them this in order to get what they want.
Yeah.
Should we move on to question
Let's
3?
move on to question 3.
Janice, 1982, explains that groupthink leads to poor decision making through 7 different deficits or defects. A, incomplete survey of alternatives. B, incomplete survey of objectives. C, failure to examine the risks of the preferred choice. D, failure to reappraise initially rejected alternatives. E, poor information search. F, selective bias in processing information at hand. And G, failure to work out contingency plan. Which defects of decision making do you see in the decision of the PHS researchers and the CDC?
Well, I definitely put C
C?
and put
And I would say also A.
D. Yeah, I put A at the very end because I was unsure and I kept going over it and I was like, no, that's definitely one of them. Yeah, so A, C, D, E, F, and G.
Yeah, I would almost say, well, no, maybe
B.
not B. No.
I didn't put that one down, but that was another one that I
Yeah,
went back to.
I thought about it,
Okay.
but I don't think it falls in um the decisions as much as the other ones do.
Yeah, they're very specific about African American males
Yeah.
With
that had.
syphilis, yeah.
Yep.
So I don't think that one needs to be included in there. But
Mhm.
like especially A, there could have been so many other alternatives to do
Yeah.
instead of just like injecting whatever they want into these men.
Mm-hmm.
They could have
Mhm.
found so many other things to turn to other than what they were already doing. And then C, obviously they didn't care what risks happened after the injections. Like they were just like, whatever happens, happens. Um, I do you think that D would be included since B is not, or never mind,
Failure to read.
just disregard that.
Yeah. Um, more information search now.
Well, I don't think they rejected any alternatives though. Like I don't even think they had alternatives to reject.
Yeah, they didn't, but that's why I didn't know.
That's why I'm not sure if D should be included just because I don't think they had any other alternatives that they were even looking towards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't include it, but
It could I guess it maybe could be included, but I don't think they ever looked away from
Yes,
what
they
they were
didn't.
already doing.
Yeah.
um, I mean, it just says which defects. So it's just the ones that you chose. So yeah, I mean, I chose the same ones pretty much. Like I was on and off about D. Like I just kind of put maybe because in like parentheses because I didn't really like know like how you said like if they really like had any other alternatives. So like I just kind of was like I don't know. I just put maybe on that. But
What about F, selected bias in processing information at hand?
I
I don't know that they
I think they did have a selective bias.
Yeah.
so would that be a
Like they wouldn't choose
Oh.
any other
Right.
race.
Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes sense.
Or specs. Should we just move on to the next one?
Yep.
I
Yes.
do kind of go to avoid poor decision making as a result of groupthink. How can you, as a healthcare manager, use the ethical decision making process framework and steps described in Chapter 7?
I just put that it allows you to think about every aspect of something and it ensures that you're not over common sense. That's what
Yeah, I feel like
I mean, if you're
because a healthcare worker, I feel like majority of them are going to use ethical decision making no matter what. Like I don't think,
yeah,
not that I have seen, I don't think that there's anybody who's gonna do the things that they were doing back in the, early 1900s. So I feel like any healthcare worker is going to use ethical decision making because they know the consequences that could follow.
there was all of those
I know
those
it's a,
Dr. Death. Have you
what?
heard about those? Like all of these there's like a whole bunch of different series on Dr. Death, like different doctors
Oh,
that
doctor? Are you talking
do
about the
on
doctor that did like physician assisted suicides?
that, and there's one that did like giving people chemotherapy whenever they didn't have cancer,
Oh,
just to
yeah.
make them.
So I
There's
guess
a
it
whole
just
bunch
comes
of
down to
them.
like,
Heard of the one who did assisted physician assisted suicide, but yeah, I haven't heard about that chemo thing. But to like answer, yeah, number 4, like using the ethical decision making process framework steps, I would probably use like step 3 because it's determine the ethical drivers, and like as a like healthcare manager, you should know, like you should always determine and know your ethical drivers, and like just know what's right from wrong, like,
yeah,
and determining those drivers could be like maybe making a list, and seeing what's ethically correct to you on whatever it may be that you're doing as a healthcare manager, whether it's the hiring process or whatever you're working towards.
Mhm.
I think another big one that falls into that would be like gathering all of like the facts to make sure that the
Yeah.
decision you are making is accurate with what is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 5, what forces other than groupthink could you explain the PHS researchers decisions?
Maybe
I put popularity as one of them.
yeah, I would say maybe just like being in the military. Just because like I feel like a lot of men in power in the military
Mhm.
really don't care about the decisions that they make when it comes to the military because I don't feel like a lot of people really investigate what goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was another thing, just being like a man in power in the military
Mm-hmm.
that kind of influence those decisions.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe they just weren't good people.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's literally like all I could really think of. I was like, I don't really know what forces would like other than group thinking could explain the PHS research decisions, but like, yeah, like that military thing makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, it's just especially at that time, the
Yeah,
military was
that time
most
there wasn't.
yeah, the military was mostly men. I mean, It wasn't like, nowadays the military branches out a lot, and I feel like they have a lot of like individuals that are capable of making ethical decisions or capable of making or I know one of my friends who went into military, he became a medic, a med
Uh-huh.
tech field, so like, I feel like there's a lot of roles that you can get out here that you can get in the military now compared to back then. They might have just been a little easier because they want people to join the military, grow they wanted the force to grow, and they were like, oh yeah, we can get you like certified in this job or in this job, but maybe at that time it wasn't actually like the proper way to certify someone, and
Yeah.
that's why we had these type of people making these decisions.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
at that time, they didn't really think about, I mean, it kind of touched in the study that this was kind of the first thing that made them look at ethical research on human subjects.
Yeah.
So,
So
I
they
mean, they
may
didn't
just
really think
not
about that. They were just doing what they wanted to do.
they may just not have had like the knowledge of what, I mean, I'm sure they knew what they were doing wasn't
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they knew necessarily that what they were doing would lead to more problems, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Hmm.
just didn't have the knowledge about it. I don't even know what other word I'm trying to use. Um, they weren't educated. There we go.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah. Same. I kind of have to go to work, so I mean, all the questions. Are we good?
Nope.
Or do
I
you
think
Yeah.
we're good.
elaborate on anything else?
Nope. I don't
Nope.
think so.
All right. Sorry for